Welcome back, everybody, to the Meeple Marathon. Today we have a very special unboxing as part of our unboxing week here on the channel. And we have a lot of boxes here to unbox from Blacklist Games. And joining me, I have a special guest here today, is my brother-in-law, Mike. Now, Mike is familiar with the classic Hero Quest game, but actually has no idea what's to expect here in all these boxes. So he's going to give us a fresh perspective on what we are about to unbox, which is Alter Quest in all its glory. All right, so this is the main core box. Obviously you can see it's a pretty big box here. This is a cooperative fantasy game that's in the vein of Hero Quest. So we're just going to take a look at the back here. You can see obviously there are going to be a lot of miniatures in the game, but there are also features, which is the furniture that people might remember from Alter Quest that's going to appear in the rooms. There are actual traps in the game that are miniatures, as well as this single board here, which it's double-sided, so you can have two different sides, but essentially you're going to be playing on this board every single time. And this is meant to look like the Hero Quest board with the walls built into the map. And essentially you can kind of go in any direction. You can start in any room you want. The layout of the map and the scenery is not supposed to be the core of the game. So let's take a look here inside. All right, so rule book, pretty standard here. And then we have a campaign guide. Now this is meant to be kind of a play one session and then be done. It's using the Sadler Brothers modular deck system, which means you grab your hero deck, you grab a villain deck, a boss deck, and a kind of quest deck, which is like almost the scenery. And then you go out and play and you're done. You can clean it all up. But if you care to have a campaign, they have this kind of mini campaign out of Luxon. But essentially the main rule book here is pretty thick. It's 28 pages. The back page is a kind of a summary guide. And the last couple pages are dedicated to campaign rules. But then you can see here, there's a pretty good amount of pictures here, but you have lots of different cards. Most of this game is miniatures and cards. So you've got your hero cards and equipment cards. Then you're going to have your threat deck, which is the minions and the traps you fight. You're going to have your villain deck. And then you're going to have your quest deck. You also have lurker cards, which are just random villains that could pop in. And then your feature cards, which is probably what a lot of people are most excited about. Other than that, the rulebook is pretty text heavy. It's okay. I've ridden through the PDF version. There are some parts that you might need to head over to BGG to clarify or watch a video on YouTube, but hopefully we'll be posting some videos here on the channel later on that'll help clarify some of those rules. All right, lots of tokens, obviously. I'm not sure what all these tokens are, especially these in the middle, but these are your supply tokens. They basically represent your food and your ability to put progress on tokens. These are your focus tokens here. The Sadler Brothers are famous for introducing what they refer to as exploding dice in their game. I actually have an extra set sitting out here. And so as you roll the dice, you can see that here's some successes, but these two, in fact, are bursts, and they will actually become a success, but allow you to then roll an extra die. And so they can just keep exploding, 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 and you could rack up a ton of successes. But you also have these symbols, which is the focus symbol, which matches these tokens. There are no misses on the dice. So you will never roll and get nothing. There's no blank side to any of these dice. Worst case is that you roll a focus, and if you don't have a focus token, you gain one. You can hold up to 5, Or if you have a focus token, you can spend it to turn this into a success. So pretty neat system. It just makes for a really fun way to play the game because it's fast. It's meant to just be a dice chucking, minion slaughtering fest. Okay, so these are search tokens. These are like defense tokens. You gain armor. These are companion or ally tokens, which in our stretch goal box that we're going to look here in a little bit, we actually have a miniature for each one of these. So in the retail version, people will be just having these basic tokens, but in our version, we get actual miniatures. Same thing with the traps. In the stretch goal box, there's going to be a miniature for every single trap. Then we've got health, money that you can acquire. That's pretty straightforward. Here's more of everything else. And then we have the game board. So Mike, you were talking earlier about how you couldn't really remember the Hero Quest game board, but I've heard a lot of people say this board brings back a lot of memories. It is quite large. It's, you know, completely out of the shot right now. What do you think of the board?
Yeah, definitely what I remember, that you would just set up certain rooms and you just put the doors to kind of enable the rooms or go into the corridors. Made for, especially compared to the setup for Gloomhaven, this is much easier. Something that we could do when we were 10 years old. So,
oh yeah, it's meant to be quick and easy to set up, and then every room has the necessary features it needs. You know, it's got the doors, but it also has these spots on them. This is where you place the features depending on what room you're in. So if it's a single space, a small feature, it would go right here where this special arrow is. If it's a 2-space feature, it goes on the 2 white ones. And if it's a large feature, it goes on all 4 of those. But then pretty much, like I said, the map is not meant to be the focus of the game, but it keeps you from having to like search for tile M3, find it, orient it the right way, flip it to the right side. You just lay out this big board every time and you get to playing. I thought this was double-sided. I guess there is a whole nother board in the stretch goal box. So we'll see that a little later. All right, this is what the people want to see. Miniatures and cards. So let's get to looking at some stuff here. Right off the bat, there's a set of dice. Here's a set of plastic rings. These are going to go on your miniatures so you can differentiate them. Each minion card has a little color gem on it. So if you have 2, say, Frox miniatures, one's yellow, one's blue, you can keep track of them. All right. So we've got all of these guys and then all of these guys.
nice.
And the stretch goal box is pretty much nothing but this. So I'm going to push this aside here for a second. And let's take a look at our first set of miniatures here. So our heroes, our 4 main heroes here, I don't remember all their names, but essentially you have like the healer, she's the warrior, I believe she's like a vampire girl, and here's your token halfling here. And you can see he's much smaller than everybody else, but he's the handy one. He's like the thief.
The thief.
So you have, I guess, wizard, warrior, bard, healer, and your rogue thief. I will take some close-ups of these, but there are those, if you want to take a look at those. All right. Then you've got all of these, and this is just one type of enemy you can go up against. This would represent a threat deck. So these are all the Frox. I believe I'm calling them correctly. So you've got your ranged Frox here who have like the blowgun. And then you've got your these are like the Frox witch doctors. And then your basic warriors here. And so again, you're going to throw these plastic rings on the bottom so you can differentiate if you have more than one type on the board. Well, then you have the big bad guy here, who's like a mega one. He's actually got this little thing It's unfortunate though, none of these guys look like they can ride up in there. Maybe you can.
How does he fit on the board? Like, what space is he on?
So he actually takes up 4 spaces at once. And these mega bosses like this, the huge bosses, if they move, you'll kind of shrink them down, or you'll take one space that they move from, and then you'll count. Say this guy's a movement of 3. You count 1, 2, 3 spaces away, and he just kind of plants himself down, and everything gets pushed away from him because he's so big.
And he can still go through doors?
I'm not sure about that. That's an excellent question. He may just be stuck in the same room, but I do believe in the playthrough, because this is the first boss that they introduced, and he was in all of the demo packs that people were making videos of. And I believe he was changing rooms, but just out of comparison, this is another boss. So these are like the pig folk, and I think her name's Gertrude or something like that. So not all the bosses are mega huge, but just bulks the flatulent here. I believe there are definitely some cards in here that talk about his flatulence, which is just funny.
You know what the best part of having miniatures for all the villains?
What's that?
And this is definitely what we used to do when we were playing Hero Quest, is that, especially the barbarian or people with weapons, that when you kill someone, you can actually recreate killing them, which is what we do.
By stick them on the sword.
Yeah, you kill them or cut off their arms. You get to play while you're playing the game.
Exactly. Who does not love miniatures? I'm not really sure who this lady is. It looks like a lady holding a child. That's really kind of creepy.
And she's an enemy. You have to kill her.
In general, yes. The enemies are going to be gray, and the heroes are going to be blue. I'm not really sure why she's here by herself. And then you can see the features. So the scenery is this off or lighter gray. So everything can be easily differentiated if you don't paint this stuff. So for example, some of the classic scenery from the Hero Quest game, it's probably a bookshelf, right?
Yep, there's a bookshelf, there's a wardrobe. I remember the doors were pretty cool. We used to make the guys have to walk through the door and you knock them over.
So here's a bookshelf. What else do we have? A desk.
Definitely a desk. Treasure chest.
Treasure chest. Treasure chest. What else you got for me? Magic mirror. What else we got in here?
There was a throne in Hero's Quest.
Okay, well, you got a fungus patch. You got your weapon rack. This one does look a little fragile.
Ooh, there was a weapon rack in Hero's Quest.
But that one's cool. They're a little bent up. But what you have in this one, instead of thrones, is altars. It's altar quest. And you have these various altars, which here are 2 of them. This would be 1, so very throne-like. Actually, I think this is a fountain. So this is not an altar yet. This is a fountain. So this is another piece of scenery. But there are several altars. Basically, the various expansions will introduce new altars. And these are essentially what you are hunting for to try and cleanse or gain power from, whatever it may be. Each different altar will have a different theme. And the boss is not always necessarily going to be your end goal, defeating the boss. You're actually... the boss is not just going to be hiding in a room. The boss, there's like a timer where when you go through all the boss cards, when that timer runs out in the game, that's when the boss comes out. So you actually, if you play well enough, you could get to the altar, take care of business, and get out sometimes. Some of those missions are going to be in that vein. So this is the main altar, but we will see some more as we unpack some of the rest of these boxes here. So there is our first set of miniatures. Let's set this stuff aside here and take a look at some of the other miniatures. All right, we're gonna bring the box back here and see. Okay, this does lift out for nice, easy access. Whole bunch more bad guys. This guy popped out of his spot here. Okay, so first thing you mentioned was doors. We have doors. They don't open and close on their own, they just stand open, but that's okay. Very nice, heavy duty miniature doors that don't stand up.
Yeah, this isn't maybe I'm misremembering, but we used to make the guys go through the doors, and you're not doing that with these ones.
Ronan can go through it. The little dwarf guy. He's short enough. Well, no.
He's not skinny enough.
He's not skinny enough. Okay. Well, the doors are just for show, but there's lots of doors here.
You can still pretend.
You can still pretend. All right. What else do we have here? I believe we saw pig people. So here are some of the pig people. The various threats you have. So that's a whole nother, and here's the last one. The double-bladed pig swordmaster. And so you could play, and you could even mix it up. You could say, I'm going to play against the pig clan. I'm butchering all these names. I actually have actual names. But then you could play with the boss as being the big giant frog. You don't have to play where he always is with the frog people. You can mix and match the bosses. Like I said, you'll draw a boss deck, you'll draw a threat deck, which is the minions, and you draw a quest deck, which is the altar, and then your hero deck. Put all the piles out, and you start to play. Their whole spiel or skit is to try and get people playing quicker with their modular deck system. All right, so here we have a whole new set of minions. These are gargoyles, and I believe these guys go along with like a werewolf theme, and that may be who the lady is back on the other page with the child, because this is definitely a menacing looking person, but certainly doesn't have a character about it like a pig or a... Yeah, and this is just another looking guy here, but I believe there is a werewolf, gargoyles come to life in the light of the moon style threat deck. But basically, in the core box here, you have 3 different threat. Maybe she is a boss. Maybe this lady over here is the boss for all of these gargoyles. And
could be someone you have to protect.
It could be something we have to protect. We will find out. But essentially, it appears like in the base game, you've got 3 different enemies, enemy divisions you can fight against, and 4 different heroes you can use. Lots of different features you can have. All right. So what else do we have in here? We've got lots of cards. We have a decent card holder built in here. All right. Let's talk about these for a second. These are the rune dice, which will get rolled up at the beginning of every game and just kind of sit there. So they're very obviously very different than your hero dice. These are the ones you're going to roll for successes and hits and stuff. These represent elements very similar to Gloomhaven, being in the air. And a lot of your cards will say, all right, if you have, I believe this is earth, if there's earth in the room, you can exhaust that earth and exhaust that card to have an effect. Then what you would do is you would just roll that die out again and it changes. It could have been rolled earth again, but there's 6 sides, 6 different elements. It just adds a something else that you can use that will alter your cards, but may not always be available. So that's the rune dice there, lots of dice. And then we have lots and lots of cards. So,
I don't remember a ton of cards in Hero Quest.
Well, that may be true. But I think the reason there's more cards in this one as opposed to the original Hero Quest is you said that somebody always had to be the bad guy in Hero Quest, right?
Yep.
In this game, nobody ever has to be the bad guy. They all get to be on the same team. And the bad guys are controlled by the AI here. So right off the bat, just looking at the card backs, we can see that there's equipment cards, search cards. There's probably some extra, because like right here, this is one of the heroes, their basic card. But then you have at least 3 different, scenarios you can play. The hunt, the showdown, the escape. You have the Frox, which is that's the frog people. You have the Raglanders, which are the pig people. And Bulks, the Belch Lord. This is probably a stack of, all these appear to be all mixed up. So,
Belch Lord is such an awesome title. And looking at that guy's mouth, I can see why he's called the Belch Lord.
Let's take a look at Bulks the Belch Lord first here. Break into these cards. All right, so this, for example, would be like a setup card that would sit here. You would keep this side up until he comes out. Then you would flip it over, and that's his. Essentially, he's got like 2 armor, 9 health per player, and he's got 9 range, so he can spit from across the room. But then these cards, you're actually going to be drawing one of these per turn, and he's kind of in the shadows messing with you. But this is, you know, stuff for him like Noxious Presence. Each hero must resist, you know, you can, the stench, or Concealing Flatulence. Each minion gains 2 armor tokens. So they do have a lot of fun with these. This is meant to be a fun game, not like a super serious game. Tongue from the Dark, Acid Reflux, the infamous Croak of Bulks, and Toxic Tactics. So
I think flatulence and belching are toxic tactics.
True. So what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna kind of briefly show off kind of the backs of the cards here, and we're gonna move on to miniatures. I'm gonna create a second unboxing video because there's so much content here. It would take us all night to look at all these cards individually. So I'm gonna create a second video that some might consider spoilerish. If you didn't want to see all the different cards, if you wanted to be surprised at what Bulks or some of the other villains might throw at you, then you would want to stay away from that video. So, and another thing they give you is a nice set of dividers, which is always really nice for organization, not having to, you know, kind of print off or create your own dividers. So this is essentially everything there is for the base game. Okay, so before we crack into the stretch goal box, I did want to point out this is probably the first time I've ever seen a stretch goal box that is bigger than the main box. They're roughly like the same dimensions, but I don't know if you can see, my hand is sitting on top of the Altar Quest box and my fingers are still not quite up to the level. It's at least an inch taller, this stretch goal box. So I just thought that was interesting to point out. Wanted to give people a chance to notice that. And another thing that I thought was interesting is this is the front of the box, which is fine. You know, it's a stretch goal box. It doesn't need to be that great, but the back of the box has actually got some really nice artwork on it. So there's the back of the box. I don't know why they didn't make that the front of the box.
Have to pay the artist more.
Maybe. Maybe. All right, so this is a massive sucker. Like I said, it's about an inch, stands an inch higher on the table. And this one is going to be just a whole bunch more heroes, a whole bunch more. Okay, so let's see here. 135 miniatures, 417 cards, dividers, more ring bases, a whole new game board, and colored altar dice. Is essentially what we're looking at here. So, like we mentioned earlier, I thought it was a double-sided board. I guess they decided to just create 2 different boards. So this is in the same, set up the same way as the other one. It's just got a different look and feel to it. And I believe the rooms are different shapes, but essentially it's still just, the map is not the main portion of the storyline. So this is a kind of a darker theme to this board, and I think you could probably just play just about any scenario you want on either board, whatever your personal preference is. So
Kind of feels like a clue board.
Yeah.
All the different rooms.
Okay. So what have we got here? Interesting. We've got some miniatures loose in a bag. Not really sure what's up with that. Okay, so this looks like one of the heroes who, the brothers who designed this game, Adam and Brady Sadler, are friends with and live like not down the street. I don't know how close they live, but they're friends with Isaac Childress. the designer of Gloomhaven. So they talked Isaac Childress into designing a scenario for the game. And so that's where I believe this is... Oh, no, this is not. I believe this maybe, though, is a miniature where you play a werewolf and you can flip your card over and either play as a werewolf or as a human. But this is... she's one of the mercenaries she can be a villain and or a hero. So I guess they created two. I'm not really sure why these are in plastic baggies. But as you can see, there's some more cards in here, some more ring bases, which are really nice. And these were a Kickstarter exclusive. You play with either the black and white set or the colored set. But all these really are is the same set of rune dice, but just with colors. So if you prefer to play with colors, there you go. Or if you like the look of the black and white, then you play with them in black and white. All right, so we'll drop those back in there. We'll take a look at the cards here in a little bit. But what we came here to see is all the fun miniatures. So let's pull this out here and pull this out. Is this? Oh no, look at that. 3 stacks worth of miniatures. Oh boy. All right. Let's start here. This looks like the most fun. Alrighty, so right off the bat, one of the coolest features in the game is the cage that is functional. How about that? So you can actually cage somebody up, stick them in there. Can't fit Brock's in there, Bulks or whatever his name is, but you can fit most of the characters in there, so I thought that was cool. An actual functioning feature. So, like I said, for example, I believe this is an altar.
That looks like one.
This is probably another altar. But then you have like your crates, which are...
Could be an altar.
It could be an altar.
If you don't have a lot of money, that's your altar.
Standard feature. The boiling pot, the witch's brew. Let's see here, the trash pile. Or maybe that's a pile of...
It looks like,
gold.
Let's say it's gold.
I don't know. This treasure chest here looks busted open.
Well,
There's
it's a
some
barrel.
broken shields. There's some skeletons in here.
It could still be treasure.
This is definitely a
valuable
trash
skeletons.
pile. And this is probably an altar as well. So lots more large altars, large features in this box. Also some really cool miniatures. For example, one of the
Is he on fire?
He is basically like a fire elemental. Yes, I believe he's a boss. And so he's like this translucent...
That's definitely the coolest one.
Orange.
Or it catches your eye.
Orange color there. Or you also have...
Go to that giant werewolf.
The giant werewolf, okay. This is one of the rats. So you mentioned there was a rat, and you can actually see he's like made up of little rats.
Oh, jeez.
There's like rats poking out of him. He's like a mutant rat because they like got into the, they eat trash. So I believe he's a boss of the rat folk. We'll see, I'm sure, more rat folk here in a little bit.
Not as cool as when I thought it was a werewolf.
Okay, so here's the werewolf miniature that must be the hero because he's light blue. But that's obviously a werewolf there. Trying to think of who I'm looking for here. So there is one character who has this panther-like companion. So this is probably going to be my favorite person to play with. So this is just her companion, but you can send the companion off to do other actions. You'll have specific cards, and so I'm thinking maybe this is her. Maybe these two go together. I can't really remember, but this is like an ally that's always with a specific hero, and it has its own set of cards, which is really cool. Or like here, this is one of the people who was just a token and will be a token in the retail version. In the stretch goal box here, we have his miniature. So this is like the old mage, or this is like the guy in jail. These are all people you just have to rescue. She is the queen of Arkenspire, which is the land that this exists in. I know that she's one of the allies, but I think that you might be able to, after you rescue her, make her a playable character.
She looks pretty badass, I'll be honest.
Now, this may be, Mike, one of your favorite characters to play with. Horsehead guy.
Oh yeah, look, 2 swords, baby. That's
Double
what I
swords, horse. What are you? Humanoid horse, basically. Van Geyser, I think is his name.
Could just be wearing a mask, you know, one of those horse masks.
No, he's a horseman.
All right, horseman he is.
His name is Van Geyser, and
He better be fast and violent.
Wields the double blades. Here's also another guy in your
Dwarf.
style, with the shield and the axe.
Yes.
The mini tank.
Melee characters, that's what we like.
I believe this is the
He's cold though. He's
other
got his hood
version.
up.
Maybe I think these are the 2 guys that go together. So he's human version. Here is his because he's got the same quiver on the back of his. So
Legolas.
human version, werewolf version. No, what's his name in Harry Potter? This is Lupin.
Lupin.
Professor Lupin. Okay, who else do we got here? This is all like the fun characters right here. There's this guy. He's got a really cool...
Is he holding his head?
Oh, this is one of the crow people. He's holding it's like a demonic spirit that he's coming out.
I thought he was like whipping his head around.
Coming out of his hand there. Let's see. Here's like a ram, like a billy goat people.
Ugh.
I forget what this guy's name is, but he's like a fanatic of some
What's the
sort.
age range on this game? The screenshot you sent me of HeroQuest said 9 and above, and these things feel creepier than
14 and up.
Okay, yeah. Some of these things give me the shivers.
Yeah, or like this innocent looking lady here, who, she doesn't look dangerous at all, but she's got the color of a bad guy.
I don't know. Those are the ones that scare me. Like Billy Goat guy, you know what he's doing. He's ramming you and he's stabbing you. Who knows what this lady's doing?
Alright. So let's see what some of their minions look like here. Oh yeah, we got some rat people in here, it looks like. That's definitely a big rat. Big scary rat right there. Who else do we got in here?
Ooh. And got blades built into his arm.
Oh, there you go.
It's like Wolverine.
That guy doesn't look scary at all either. But
That guy is creepy. Look how
be.
skinny he is, and he's got a big hook thing.
That's his
sickle?
magical. Oh yeah, it could be a sickle. Here's who do we got here? Lady with horns. Oh, she's like what are those?
Half goat, half...
Yeah, they're the Piper in Narnia.
I forget what they're called.
Human top and hooves for feet. Ooh, this guy's cool. This is the crow people.
Ooh.
I think he goes along with like this guy.
You know what this guy reminds me of is like Assassin's Creed.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's what their kind of thing is that they hide in the shadows. They're all like these dark ravens that hide in the shadows. There's another one.
Are they
that's more
crows
like
or
a
ravens?
wizard. I don't know. We'll say ravens. Ravens sounds scarier.
Actually, this one kind of looks like those quarantine masks, you know, with a really long nose on
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yeah, that's true, too. Oh, look at this guy. He's got a big ass.
Yeah, look at that axe.
He's not fooling around.
Back that axe up.
What else do we got here? More werewolves.
Werewolves or rats? Because you got me last time. That looks like a wolf.
This is definitely a wolf. Okay. Where's the rat? There's a rat. There's a wolf. They do look very similar, though, don't they?
One's got ears and one doesn't.
Who else do we got here? Oh, this looks like a normal person with a crossbow. That's it for this.
Normal person. Normal people don't have crossbows like that.
Well, you know. All right, let's see what else. What's in there? Reach that last one.
You have to take this out.
Oh, you do? Oh, it's that big? Look at it. It's the whole bottom of the box. Oh, my goodness. Ooh, this is the traps. Some of the traps here. All right, and more heroes. There's like more stuff than I can ever imagine to paint.
Is that...
Like this is the trap for the crows. It's like a or the ravens. I'm gonna keep switching it, but it's like a scarecrow. So it must be the crows. But this is like a scarecrow.
So it's not actually an enemy; it's a trap.
I think it's a trap. I think because there's these which are like standard traps, which I think these are with the pig people. So if you play with the pig people, their threat deck may throw out one of these, which looks like a standard trap. But then the bulks, the frog people, have these muck stakes.
Yep.
Which looks like a standard
That's...
trap as well. But then there's also, I believe this is the rats. There are these
rat droppings,
nests that if you get near them, they explode. I'm trying to think. This, I believe, is the trap for the ram people who have like, fire, something to do with fire. So that pops up. This is for the werewolves. I remember that. And this, like, I can't remember how this turns into a trap, but obviously it appearing on the board is not good. Oh no, I think this is for the pig people, because this, I think, is a trough. Yeah, this is like a trough of human remains. So these are all the traps that can pop up. And again, these are all represented by just a single token in the retail version, but if you pick up the Kickstarter version, you're gonna get all of these miniatures. All right, now this guy is super creepy. It's basically like a skeleton sitting very casually. Just waiting for you.
He's been waiting too long.
He's not even gonna do anything. Here's another rat person. Obviously a mage of some sort.
Looks like the Mind Thief.
And here's another one. I think this is like a little kid version of the Billy Goat clan.
Oh, that's Baby Groot.
Here's another raven. It is a little weird that they kind of mixed them all up so much. Like why they didn't put all the ravens or crows.
You see how many they had to cram in here? It's about space.
I know. Yeah, I guess so.
Why did we have to kill children though?
Well, he's like Billy the Kid. I think that's his name.
Oh, jeez.
Who else we got in here? This looks like another rat person. Yeah, I think there are just some standard thieves in here. Like your threat deck can be humans and thieves. And then we have... Oh, these appear to be all the same person. These look all identical. Wonder why.
Allies.
Oh, allies? Okay.
I don't know.
I think you're right, though. I guess everybody can have the same female mercenary ally. I'm not sure.
Well, if they're tokens in the main game, maybe you just have 5 allied tokens, and so they just give you all the same.
This guy definitely wins the creepy award.
Yeah, that one is pretty
the skeleton
creepy.
man just casually sitting there.
And there's 4 of them?
And there's 4 of them, yeah.
What? That level where you get to play 4 of those guys?
Probably, well...
Ooh, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Be the perfect time to play that.
Okay, let's do it. I'll have to figure out which threat deck he's in. All right, so that is all the miniatures in the stretch goal box. Let's just take a quick look at the cards. Again, I'm going to go into a deep dive in these cards in a separate video. There's Van Geyser. Always got human hands. I guess he could be wearing a mask.
Well, just like what you see on the Redditors wearing their horse masks. I think it's a real head, though. You couldn't fight wearing that mask.
So the quarantine probably goes along with the poxoids, the rats, the brays.
He comes with a hottie, too.
Okay. The brays are the half human, half deer people. The Lunarin, that's the werewolves. Roderick Heston must be... There's Van Geyser. There you go.
Nice.
Gwendolyn, yeah. Gwendolyn is the one who's got the cat figure, the ally figure. So let's look at her real quick. See if we can see Gwendolyn Loxley, yes. So there's Gwendolyn and the cat, Loxley. So she always starts with Loxley. It's like a equipment card that she gets to start with. And there's, you know, some of her cards she can use to control Loxley. But I have a feeling that I want to see what the name of that skeleton man is before we close up this box here. Let's see if he's with the Lunarian. Alright, there's some of the heroes. Lunarin. These are all Lunarin feature cards. And that's all that one guy. He's got a lot of cards. Werewolf minion. Okay, we've seen those. Moonchild minion. Okay, see, she's perfectly normal looking. There's Packmaster. That's who you thought was creepy.
The sickle.
Oh, there we go. Sacrifice to Loon. Wow. Oh, it's a trap.
Yeah.
He's not a minion. He's a trap. Okay. So there you go.
So Loon, I guess, is...
Loon must be like
god.
the goddess of the moon or something like that. Let's see. The worship of Loon has long been associated with the gift of lycanthropy. The lesser rune sister of Aluna, Loon, rules the night and blesses those that do her bidding with predatory prowess. Loon's sign is the moon, and those that worship her under it call themselves Lunarin. So there you go. So we can play through the Lunarin threat deck tomorrow on Friday the 13th.
Fitting.
Yes. All right. So we're going to put this away. And last but not least, we're going to look through the Ruins of Arkenspire box. All right. So the last box we have to show off today in this particular video is the Ruins of Arkenspire. This is essentially the first expansion that will be released for Ultra Quest. So this was like a fully fleshed out box. It's not just a whole bunch more things like the stretch goal box. So there is actually you know, some very unified content to this box, and we'll see that here in a second. One thing that they do introduce in this particular expansion that's not in the other two are these encounter boards. So you can see these are much smaller, tighter, kind of raid style modes. So this is an even quicker game. Less content you have to bring out. So if you have less time or you don't want to get somebody too... If the full board is too much for somebody and you just want to introduce them at a smaller level, the encounter boards would probably be the way to go. So let's go ahead and take a look in here. There's also some secret boxes, which we will not open up, but secret boxes are always fun. All right, so Ruins of Arkenspire Story Guide. So this is another campaign. You can see here, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's essentially chapters. So definitely a quest book. Here are the rules for Arkenspire, how things might change. So this talks about encounters, encounter setup, how it's slightly different, and then an overview of encounter rules. All right, so here are the encounter boards. Like I said, these are much smaller. But this is it. This is the entirety of what you would play on. This one has, you know, these symbols on it that look like gravestones, and these symbols, which I'm assuming where minions come in the corners, and there's a statue in the middle, with a specific symbol on it. These look like the symbols where people would start. So I'm sure there's a way where the cards have you interacting with these symbols and whatnot, you know, just for an entirely new type of experience. On the back here, we have the Arken Hold. This looks to be a dungeon with a lot of dead people lying around in the fetal position. Yeah, so, you know, some walls that you probably have to pay attention to. I don't know. See, I'm wondering whether you have to pay attention to these walls like you do in the main game, because there's an actual square right there. What was this side called? This side was called Grave Disturbances.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Camp Ambush. And last but not least, in trouble. In trouble. What was this one called? Grave Disturbances. What was the Arkenhold? See, this one isn't nearly as punny as the rest of these. It's like the designer ran out of puns. All right, so there's the encounter boards.
Maybe we just don't get Arkenhold.
Maybe we don't. Maybe, yeah, it just is over our heads. Okay, so, some more fun miniatures.
Ooh, ice people?
These must be ghosts. I think they're supposed to be ghosts, not ice people.
They could be ice people.
They could be ice people, but there's like this guy's a skeleton.
If they're ghosts, they can't hurt me unless they're a poltergeist.
A skeleton, a soldier, a ghost. What's this guy? This guy looks like he might be... This guy's pretty creepy too.
Oh yeah. Gollum?
He kind of looks like Gollum, but he's a lot bigger looking than Gollum.
A muscular
Gollum. Gollum on steroids. There's a coffin feature. Yeah. Let's see what this guy... What's this guy?
I feel like there was definitely a coffin in Hero Quest.
Oh yeah, like this guy's got the...
What's up with his hand?
Well, no.
Is that like the werewolf hand? Vampire hand?
It might be, but what was Hellraiser? You remember the Hellraiser?
Yeah,
he's got the Hellraiser like face wrap going on.
Oh yeah, that. Oh gosh.
And a very large... This guy actually has a square base. The rest of them all have circular bases. I wonder why he's got a square base.
Because he can only face you either from the side or directly on. You can't be turning him.
Oh, maybe.
See, can't tell what is eyes, what is ears, and what is horns. Is his head like face super tiny, or is it really big?
I think that's horns. I think he's got like a super tiny head.
Super tiny head. Yeah.
Super tiny face. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like hair covering his
horns and hair.
But I think he has a super tiny head, so it must mean he's dumb, like a dinosaur.
Okay. So those are cool.
That means he's invincible too.
Incorrectly. Those guys are creepy. All right, so we've got some cards here. I'm not gonna open these up. Profaned Shambler, because I don't want anything to be spoiled. Because there is some coffin. There's the coffin. Each hero in this room must draw a lurker card, and then the lurker suffers 1 damage. The Profaned. So that's what this threat group is called. All right, so you've got these boxes. These are the secret boxes. These are dividers, which I don't know how they're... I guess you put these in the main box, but this is always cool anytime you have like a secret box. So obviously I'm not going to open this, but at some point there could be a miniature inside. There could be some cards inside.
No shaking. Okay. Just like at Christmas, you can't shake it.
Okay. No shaking. Feels like there's something underneath here. No. It's a pretty big box.
There's a lot of empty space at the bottom of that box. They just wanted to look big like the rest of them.
I guess these cards need to sit low enough.
But you know what? These cards sit just fine like that.
They could have turned them sideways. I know. It does seem... This is definitely the smallest box, but...
It's still cool.
I was expecting more.
We got ice people / ghosts.
Out of the box. Yeah, this one is interesting. They didn't release any information about what was in this box because they wanted it to be an entire secret. They just said that there'll be one whole new threat. I guess I thought there might have been a hero or two in here, but it doesn't appear to be.
You don't know what's in the box?
That's true. I don't know what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box?
And they want to make sure you're committed to this game, that if you're going to dedicate shelf space to empty space, just because the box is big, you gotta make sure you're committed to all.
That is true. This entire game is going to take up a lot of shelf space, and I have no idea where I'm going to put it. But
you have room in your bedroom, right?
Yeah, I could give up my spot on the bed. My wife would kick me to the couch.
What about your daughter's room? This is something that would look nice on her shelf.
That's true. She would probably love playing with the miniatures until she figured out what they were. If I put this in my boys' room, they would never go to bed. Like, they would just be up playing with the miniatures all night long. All right, so that is our unboxing of the 3 main boxes for Ultra Quest. Like I said, be on the lookout for a second video where I'm going to go into more detail with the cards. In case you don't want to be involved in any of those spoilers, you can stay away from that video. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to be notified when that second video gets dropped onto YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.